proudly presented by AT&T Uverse TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Ron Washington is looking for someone to step up and provide a big moment for Ranger fans. And Wash normally leans on the veterans. Will Nelson Cruz be the man? Could it be Ian Kinsler? Will Adrian Beltre lead the way? Or could that big hit come from a surprise source? The always confident skipper expects that it will happen tonight as the Rangers and Orioles wrap up the series on Fox Sports Southwest. It is a warm, windy, and cloudy evening here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Young and old alike gearing up for the Rangers trying to salvage the finale of this three-game set as they take on the Baltimore Orioles. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad to have you along. And first of all, let me say, Tom and Mark McLemore, thanks for sitting in. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you out there for passing along so many great wishes to me. I really appreciate that. Down to Ranger baseball. Adrian Beltre, the key to the Ranger consistency over the year. They need him right now.
Well, they need Adrian, Buzz, and I think maybe even more than that. They need other guys to join the hit parade. You know Adrian is going to be there. He's at least knocking on the door for offensive categories in the top 10 all the way around. Month of July has been hot for him. A lot of it has happened against the Orioles. He's hit over 400 against the Orioles. He'll handle that fourth spot. What he needs is a few more base runners ahead of him to get on base and some guys behind him to join in driving in some runs. That's what the Rangers need, a team effort to get some runs on the board.
There you go, and hopefully that'll happen here tonight as the Rangers, as I said, try to salvage this final game of the three-game set. The Rangers have had a little bit of an attitude adjustment. You see not too much going wrong down there on the bench right now. We'll be back with the starting lineups in the first pitch, Rangers and Orioles, right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. By Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. And by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Designate a driver. A few high clouds overhead. Puffy white clouds off in the distance. And kids getting the autographs from the Ranger players at each position before we get underway. Let's head over and say hello to Jim Knox. Jim?
Hi, Buzz. Appreciate it, and welcome back. You know, Martin Perez takes the mound for the Rangers tonight, and he will have his work cut out for him going against one of the top hitting teams in the American League. So, Martin, how do you face the Orioles? What will it take to slow this team down?
I don't care about, I trust what I have, and then I trust my staff, and like I say, I just need to throw down because they swing everything, and then I just need to make the pitch.
Martin Perez with the Geico quote of the day, so keep the ball down low. We'll see what happens as Martin tries to get the Rangers back on track starting here in the second half of the season. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Yeah, Martin Perez will face a Baltimore lineup tonight that looks like this. Buck Showalter throwing out Nate McLeod, the left fielder. Manny Machado bats second. He plays third. Nick Markakis is in right. Adam Jones, the center fielder, bats cleanup. Chris Davis is at first. Matt Wieters is a catcher. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, bats seventh. The DH is Danny Valencia. And Brian Roberts, the second baseman, hits ninth.
And on the mound is Martin Perez. He's had 6 starts for the Rangers. They've gone well, 3-2, a 3 ERA. He did have a start against the Orioles in Baltimore. He won that start, gave up a couple of earned runs in 6 innings. Hasn't given up an earned run in 12 innings pitched at home this season. So he's facing an Oriole lineup that's hot. 1 through 9 they can hit. Tough lineup to face. And as we mentioned in the pregame show, Buzz, one of the keys is to keep McLeod and Machado off base. McLeod has started the first 2 games of this series off with base hits to center field to lead off the game.
And Machado following him in the order. And well, maybe that's a good sign. Martin Perez able to bust the bat of Nate McLeod on the foul ball. Break up his rhythm a little bit. 1 ball and 1 strike, and Martin back to the plate. 2-1 now. McLeod, a .280 hitter. 6 home runs, 17 driven in. As Tom told you earlier in the year, you saw McLeod batting down further in the order. The line drive is going to settle into left field in front of David Murphy. So a leadoff single. McLeod has done that all 3 games now.
When we played the Orioles for the first time in Baltimore, McLeod, I think, was hitting about .230 against left-handed pitching. There was a pretty good differential. But in the 7 games that we've played, it doesn't look like there's much difference when he faces a lefty or a righty. He's hitting line drives against everybody.
Well, McLeod aboard. This is for a Baltimore team that had 17 hits last night against 5 different Ranger pitchers, and they start off today swinging the bat well. They, as a team, are 4th in the American League with a .267 team average. Manny Machado, one of the bright young stars of all of baseball, the third baseman for the Orioles. Another toss to first. McLeod is back. Machado at .310 for the season with 7 home runs, and he has driven in 46. But this is a guy that every time you see him, you have to continue to be impressed with his development. First ball swing is popped up. That is in play on the right side. Ian Kinsler calling off Mitch Moreland. Out number 1, and that'll bring up Nick Markakis. Let's take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. Murphy, Gentry, and Martin left, center, and right. Moreland at first. You saw Kinsler at second. He's joined by Elvis up the middle. Adrian Beltre at third. A.J. Brzezinski is catching Martin Perez on the hill. The umpiring crew this afternoon. The veteran Joe West behind the plate. Adam Hamari is at first. Andy Fletcher is at second. And Rob Drake over at third.
Well, the Orioles, Buzz, they did have 17 hits last night. There were at least 3 or 4 hits that on a good defensive night could have been turned into outs. I didn't think the Rangers had a particularly good defensive game last night. Doesn't always show up in the box score as an error, but there were a number of plays that I think the Rangers generally make, and Walsh alluded to that after the game, saying we just have to play better defense than that, the kind of defense we're capable of playing. And Didn't see that in last night's game. That was a disappointment last night.
Yeah, and you know, some fans are probably saying, well, why doesn't Ron Washington talk about that publicly? Well, that's not his style. He doesn't believe in calling out players publicly. Now, that doesn't mean the players don't know that his displeasure is there.
Right.
They're very well aware of it. But Ron certainly does not believe calling a player out in the press or any kind of media for that matter.
No, and very, very frequently you have to think that he might have that conversation in the clubhouse, in his office, between him and the player.
Yep.
And that's the way it should be.
1-1 the count to Markakis. Got him on the fist. To second for one. The return to Martin Perez, covering not in time. He's pulled off the bag. The throw got there in time from Elvis, and Perez trying to catch the ball and then locate the bag, just couldn't quite do it.
Well, that's a difficult double play, the 3-6-1 double play. It's easier with a left-handed thrower, but it's difficult for the pitcher to sprint toward, you can pretty much speak to this, Buzz, to sprint toward first base, locate the bag and the ball. That's trying to look in two different directions.
Well, and Martin did a good job, I thought, that time, Tom. He stopped at the right place. He caught the ball and then looked for the bag. He didn't try to do two things at once. He was stopped just a little bit too far from the bag,
right,
from what he was anticipating. And that's not really a mistake. It's just one of those things. Toughest play in all of toughest double play to turn, I think, in all of baseball is that one, with the pitcher getting over there to cover.
All he needed was about 6 more inches. He was right next to the bag. He just stabbed at the bag and came up a little short.
Now Adam Jones, the center fielder, and he takes a breaking ball for strike one. Yeah, it was close. Hard to tell if his foot, as it was sliding back, ever contacted the bag before Markakis got there.
If it did, it would have been difficult for the first base umpire to see it.
In the air, right center field, or left center field, I should say. Gentry back with room, on the track by a step. And a 10-pitch first inning sends the Orioles down. No runs a hit and a man left. A half an inning in the book. Orioles nothing. Rangers coming up. Fox Sports Southwest. The Rangers coming to bat in the bottom of the first. Rangers starting lineup delivered by DeMontron RV. Kinsler will lead off. He's playing second base. Craig Gentry, the center fielder, is next. The DH tonight is Nelson Cruz. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. A.J. Przinsky is catching. Mitch Moreland hits sixth and plays first base. Elvis Andrus, the shortstop. The left fielders David Murphy. Leonis Martin is in right and batting ninth.
And we'll look at the scouting report for Chris Tillman. Chris Tillman, excellent first half. He was 11-3. ERA is a little higher than you would expect for someone with an 11-3 record. The Orioles have scored a lot of runs for him. 8 starts on the road. He's pitched better on the road at 3.40 ERA. He's had 2 career starts in this ballpark, and he's done well. He's won both of them. In those 2 games, his ERA is under 2. Tillman was an all-star this year, added to the team by Jim Leyland after an injury to the starting staff. And one of the big reasons the Orioles are a contender at 11-3.
Next pitch to Kinsler, that big overhand curveball, and it settles in. It is 0-2. Ian, as you saw, a .281 hitter, 9 home runs, 37 RBI.
Seems like every game we played the Orioles this year, we talked about the trade that the Orioles made to acquire Adam Jones, because we've seen Adam Jones every game. You need to remember that Chris Tillman was the other player in that trade that sent Eric Bedard to Seattle. So you've got an all-star starting pitcher and an all-star starting center fielder for a guy that didn't fit into your plans anymore.
Kinsler pops it up behind home plate. Leaders off with the mask coming back, but the wind will push that back about 8 rows.
It's kind of the Orioles version of the Mark Teixeira trade with Atlanta that brought the 4 players to the Rangers and kind of set the young part of their rebuilding process, and they were able to acquire all-star players, and a big reason why they've been to the playoffs 3 straight years.
Yeah, the Rangers certainly have seen Adam Jones a lot, way too much. Ian reaching for it, grounds to Brian Roberts, the second baseman. That is out number 1. So Kinsler out. Now Craig Gentry coming up. Take a look at the Oriole defense tonight. Same one they've employed in the first 3 games, or all 3 games of this series. McLeod, Jones, and Markakis left, center, and right. Davis at first. Roberts and Hardy up the middle. Machado at third. Matt Wieters behind the plate. Chris Tillman, the 25-year-old Southern Californian, is on the hill. Craig Gentry to start tonight in center, batting in the number 2 slot. Ron Washington really has not been able to settle on a number 2 hitter, with Elvis still having some problems, and Elvis has been relegated to the lower part of the batting order. Craig Gentry, the latest to sneak up there in the number 2 slot. Lines this one down the right field side, but it was a little bit mishit, so it sliced out of play. And the count moves to 1-1.
Craig had a nice game the other day. He's the one that hit that double into the right center field gap. Looked like it might roll to the warning track or the wall and score Jeff Baker from first. Instead, Jeff was held at third and couldn't get back to third. Was thrown out in a key part of the game. It was a low-scoring game.
2 balls and 1 strike. Now the count to Gentry. Now the Rangers in the first 2 games of the series, Tom, and you can sure speak to this, they have not played exactly fundamentally sound baseball.
No. They've left some runs out there that they should have had, and they've given up some that they shouldn't have given up. And it's not a surprise, based on the way they played these 2 games, that they didn't win either one of those games. And the good thing is they're a lot better than that. They just have to go out and play better.
Right. And they're playing against a team, let's face it, that just does not make a lot of mistakes to beat themselves. Skied to shallow right field. On comes Markakis, has plenty of time to settle underneath it. Gentry is out. 2 away. Nelson Cruz coming up.
Yeah, the Orioles lead the league in fielding percentage, so you're right, Buzz. They don't make a lot of mistakes defensively. Got a Gold Glove shortstop, probably future Gold Glove third baseman. The left side of their infield is terrific. Brian Roberts is a veteran second baseman. We've seen Chris Davis with the Rangers play a solid first base. Adam Jones is an all-star center fielder. Markakis is solid in right. And McLeod has played some center field in his past, too. So Wieters is an all-star catcher. So they've got a good team, boy. They've been bad for a long time, but it's not a fluke that they're good now.
Cruz fouls it off to the right, and the count evens at 1-1. Nelly getting a semi-off night. Ron Washington had him in the lineup last night in right field, but not fully convinced that Cruz was over the effects of that migraine headache that kept him out of Friday night's game. Well, Ron said, well, another day at DH won't hurt him at all, and certainly won't hurt the ball club. 1-2 the count now. Tillman back to it. Got him swinging. Boy, good cut fastball from the right-hander. 3 up, 3 down go the Rangers. We played 1 in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Orioles nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Introduce Chris Davis as the first hitter. Let's go say hello to Jim Knox again, Jim.
All right, thanks, Buzz. Ranger fans painted up. They're ready to go. You bet. Looking good today, little guy. Community Corner this evening. Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation before the game, along with former Arlington Mayor Richard Green and his wife Sylvia, awarded this year's Richard Green Scholars. That's right, they work a tough internship, the Arlington Senior High School schoolers. Then they collect a $10,000 scholarship. The Richard Green Scholars honored before the game. To find out more, log on to TexasRangers.com/foundation. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Now, Chris Davis starting things off for the Orioles. 1 ball and 1 strike. And from Longview, Texas up there, pitch tied him up. Inside fastball from Martin Perez, and it's 1-2, and that's exactly the sequence of pitches that Derek Holland had success with Davis here on Friday night.
But Davis going into last night's game was 1 for 17 against the Rangers. He had a couple of hits last night. Somehow he hit a ball about 6 inches off the ground, 400 feet to center field.
Yeah.
It looked like a catchable ball for Leonis Martin. He didn't catch it. It went for a double. Man, he gave a 400-foot ride to a pitch that didn't look like he'd hit it much farther than out of the infield.
Lays off that outside fastball, and the count is even now at 2-2. Now, you won't find many guys stronger than Chris Davis in baseball.
No.
You got tremendously strong hands and forearms, and that goes a long way into making that ball travel to left field. And David Murphy has to get in the sun, and he loses it beyond him to the wall. Into second base with a leadoff 2-bagger is Chris Davis.
Well, that's the exact ball that you dread as a left fielder. When the game starts at 7 o'clock, by now that sun wouldn't be a factor. When the game starts at 6 o'clock, that sun's a factor for the first 3 innings of the ball game. A high fly is not a problem because the sun is low, but a line drive is a nightmare. And David right now has no idea where that ball is. He saw it come off the bat, so he's got a general idea. But as you look for the ball, you look directly into the sun, and the ball just blends in with the sun. And that's the result. You just hope that if there's a ball hit like that, the Rangers are the team that hits it, not the other team, because there's really nothing you can do about it.
Well, leadoff double, and Matt Waiters, the catcher. Switch hitter up there from the right side, takes ball 1 inside. Well, that maybe typifies the series so far. First 2 games plus the first inning plus here tonight. Orioles have, there's a shot up the middle and center field. Davis being waved around third. Gentry, the throw to the plate is cut off. And the Orioles on a gift double and a base hit to center take a 1-0 lead. Now the double that could have been anything but, and then the base hit following it up, and that's what the Orioles have done.
Well, Wieters has hit a couple of home runs against the Rangers this year. That time it's a base hit to drive in a run. The Orioles have gotten hits when they've needed them. They've capitalized on opportunities, and another example of it right there. Line drive that without the sun would have been an easy out for David. Turns into a run. And even that ball was down and away from Chris Davis. He hit it one-handed, really. And it was a solidly hit line drive.
J.J. Hardy, the shortstop up there. Ball gets away from Brzezinski, go down to second. Goes Matt Wieters, and again, the Rangers a little bit sloppy. In crucial times, that ball looked like it just glanced off Brzezinski's glove, that he never got it into the pocket. No, it was in the dirt. My bad. I didn't see it hit the dirt.
Yeah, it was in the dirt. It does go as a wild pitch, but I think AJ, after watching that, would say he probably could have blocked it. Should have blocked it. Tried to pick it with his glove and wasn't able to do it.
2-0 pitch. It's the inside corner, and it's 2-1. Hardy, again, outstanding numbers power department wise for a shortstop. 16 home runs, 52 RBI.
He's the only major league shortstop with 20 home runs the last 2 years.
By the dive of Beltre, there will be no play as Elvis gets to the ball, but an infield single for J.J. Hardy. Runners at first and second with nobody out for Danny Valencia.
Hardy well on his way to 20 more home runs this year, make it 3 straight years with 20 home runs. Well, Perez has given up a double and 2 singles. The double without the sun would have been an easy play, and the other 2 were harmless ground balls that found a hole. So if you look at the way he's thrown the ball, it really doesn't have a problem other than the results.
Yep.
Not much you can do on that ball.
It's perfectly placed between Beltre and Andrus. The first and second, nobody out. Rangers have set up the defensive alignment should Danny Valencia be asked to bunt. Got Moreland at first, playing in front of the cut of the grass, and Adrian Beltre will play kind of side saddle down there at third. Valencia handling the DH chores, 215 the average. No bunt here in the first pitch. The fastball down and away for ball 1. Prior to that first pitch, you saw Elvis Andrus go in and say something to Martin Perez, and part of the deal was they don't want Martin to start feeling the way he did in Detroit, where he has to nibble at the corners when things start turning bad. And he gets the double play ball here. If Elvis can do something with it, he can't. He boots it, everybody's safe, and the bases are full with nobody out.
Well, this is a tough inning for Martin Perez. You could easily have 4 or 5 outs in this inning. Ground balls have not been hit hard. 2 found holes. That looked like a simple double play. Instead, it turns into an error, and now the bases are loaded with nobody out. Just the woes for the Rangers continue today. It's been that way the last couple of games. They're not getting the key hits. They're not making plays.
So 3 hits and an error. Get another look at that hop from behind, and that just ate up Elvis. Came up and got him on just above the wrist. The base is full, nobody out. Brian Roberts, the second baseman, takes high for ball 1. Roberts, 242 the average, 2 home runs and 10 driven in. As you can see, the veteran has been around long enough to have 5 career grand slams. You know what I was saying, though, about what Elvis had talked to Martin Perez about was making sure he still wants to make his aggressive pitches in the strike zone. Don't start trying to pitch away from contact, if you will. Ground ball, base hit to right field. 1 run is home. The stop sign is put up at third as Hardy checks in at third. Scoring on the play is Matt Wieters, and the Orioles take a 2-0 lead.
Another softly hit ground ball that found a hole. Just, if it's not one thing, it's another right now. See Mitch playing way off the line towards second base, and the ball still was to his right and found a hole. You couldn't have placed that ground ball any better than that.
And even if Kinsler had come up with the ball, there was nobody at first base because Martin Perez had turned into a spectator. Instead of going over to cover the bag like the pitcher's supposed to, he was standing there watching.
Would have had the same result anyway.
Yep. Well, Mike Maddox out to try and slow things down a little bit if you possibly can. 2-0 Baltimore, bases full, still nobody out. Top of the order now has to be dealt with by Martin Perez. Nate McLeod, a single to left, his first time to the plate. Perez still working from a stretch. 1 ball, no strikes. McLeod, as you can see now, the average of 282.
He's raised his average against left-handed pitching by about 20 points against the Rangers, it feels like.
1-1. Well, Perez in damage control mode right here. Martin really in a tough bind. He needs to make some good pitches and have good things happen once he does. That's chopped foul, and he's gotten ahead of the count now. A ball and 2 strikes. McLeod, and it typifies the way his season started out. Just did get a piece of it. He's staying alive now. McLeod has a count of 1-2.
Good sinking action on that pitch. McLeod just able to hit the top of the ball to foul it off. Good pitch by Martin.
Popped up, headed toward the seats over the Oriole dugout. That's back 7 rows.
Good velocity tonight for Martin. That last pitch was 96 miles an hour.
Yeah. Bad part is he's up to 21 pitches this inning.
Yep.
And still doesn't have an out.
He should have been out of the inning at number 1.
Yeah.
Definitely could have had a double play on that ground ball. And David lost the ball in the sun. That's a tough situation to be in.
Pulled down the right field line. That's hooking. And going back into the seats after it bangs off the railing.
McLeod is a tough out. 7 games against the Rangers. He's making things happen, fouling off tough pitches. Been on base all day long, it feels like.
Well, McLeod back in there. Waiting for the 7th pitch of this at bat alone. Perez to him. Low and inside, and the count is even at 2-2.
You know, usually you'd be in this position and a play is not made behind you, and you'd be 22, 23 pitches into it and say, all right, if I can get this guy, I'm out of the inning. But now he looks up and there's still nobody out.
Right. Got him swinging. First out of the inning. Boy, Martin had to work hard to get that.
He made some good pitches. Looks like a changeup here that McLeod swings over. Good movement on that pitch. Swings right over it.
So a very big first out. Now a tough guy to deal with in Manny Machado. Machado popped out to second. His first time up there. Went after the first pitch that he saw, which is his custom. Perez misses inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Got the bases full of Orioles. Hardy at third, Valencia at second. Ryan Roberts over at first. Couple of runs across 4 hits and an error this inning. Brzezinski flashing the signs out. Martin Perez ready. Good off-speed pitch. 1-1.
We've seen that more and more from Martin. First couple of times up, I don't think he was able to throw that pitch because he just didn't have command of his overall variety of pitches. But now that changeup has become a really good pitch for him. There it is again.
Back it up, throw another one. That's Perez, and that's been his MO in the minor leagues. Folks evaluating him said he has one of those changeups that he can throw 2 and 3 and 4 times in a row, and guys can't do anything with it. Well, it's translated to the big league level, too. A ball and 2 strikes. Pitch on the way. Got him swinging. Well, back-to-back strikeouts. McLeod, now Machado. And there are 2 outs with Nick Markakis coming out.
It's like Martin said to himself, I'm going to take this into my own hands. And there's what you're talking about, Buzz. That's 3 straight changeups, and he gets the strikeout. A couple of plays not made behind him, couple of runs in, bases loaded, 2 strikeouts against 2 guys that have really been hitting the ball well.
Well, that'll bring up Markakis, who reached on a fielder's choice ground out. Back in the first. Got him on the fist. 3-hopper and a roller out to Ian Kinsler. And that'll do it. For all in all, that is one whale of a job for Martin Perez. 2 runs on 4 hits and an error, but the bases are left full. We're going to the bottom of the second. Baltimore 2, Texas nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. To partner with Stop Out Bullying, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stop Out Bullying focuses on preventing bullying of all forms of digital abuse. It educates them against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students. To learn how you can help, please visit stopoutbullying.org. Well, the Rangers down by a couple as Adrian Beltre starts off the bottom of the second inning. Beltre, Pierzynski, and Moreland. Adrian, as you can see, a .313 hitter. Takes outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Beltre, 21 home runs, 55 RBI. Goes down to 1 knee and tries to get that slow hook. Couldn't do it. 1-2.
Big, slow-breaking curveball.
Tom, does Tillman remind you of a guy to our left over here a little bit, Jim Palmer? Down the right field line, Markakis toward the line, crossing into foul territory, puts it away for out number 1.
You know, he's tall. If you look at him the way right now with his back to us, tall, slim, the way his actions are, I would say definitely.
Yeah.
Palmer had a huge leg kick.
Right.
You know, the similarities might end when they let go of the ball.
Yeah, certainly not the velocity-wise. Jim could throw exceedingly hard. But that big, slow curveball.
Palmer had a big overhand, slow curveball.
Palmer's fastball looked like it tended to cut a little bit. The four-seam fastball that he threw. And Tillman has that ability to do that. Kind of an over-the-top motion. Not as exaggerated as Palmer's, but...
Yeah, Palmer, I'm trying to think how to say this. He kind of, as he brought his arm back, reached back farther. Right. More of an arc, I guess, to his throwing motion. Tillman's a little more of a short arm kind of action.
A.J. Pierzynski hitting with the bases empty and 1 out in the Rangers' second. Ground ball out to Ryan Roberts, who handles it easily. And that's out number 2.
Palmer was one of those guys when you watched him from the side throw his fastball. It didn't look like he was throwing that hard until you got up to the plate and tried to hit it. Couldn't pick it up.
We'll take a look at our AT&T Twitter poll for this evening. We're asking you who will win the AL East. And we gave you the obvious 5 choices, since that's all the number of teams there are in the American League East. Orioles, Red Sox, Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays. Hashtag FS and your pick. Go ahead and go to Twitter and give us your answer. We'll tabulate the results. Get back to you later on in the ball game. Off-speed pitch to Mitch Moreland. Settles just out of the strike zone. It was 1 ball and no strikes.
And there's no doubt who the hottest team in the East is. They're the hottest team in baseball, and that's Tampa Bay. Once they called up Will Myers, young phenom that they traded to get from Kansas City. He's batting in the middle of their lineup now. Their offense has clicked. They've got excellent starting pitching. David Price is back in their rotation. They've won 9 out of 10. Over about a 40 or 50 game stretch. They're 20 games over 500. So right now it looks like they're as hot as anybody.
He's trying to encourage the fans to vote for.
I'm just saying they're hot right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're going to stay hot or not.
I thought maybe you were getting a little bit kicked back under the table.
No. I just like the way they're playing right now. But I will say this, even at the beginning of the year when they were struggling, the one thing that everybody said about Tampa Bay, it's been the thing that's happened the last few years. At the end of the year, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
They've got good defense. They run well. Great starting pitching. I think with Myers in their lineup, one more strong hitter, it's really giving them the lineup they want right now.
Mitch Moreland gone on strike. So are the Rangers. 3 up, 3 down. 6 straight sent down by Chris Tillman. We're going to the 3rd inning. 2-0 Baltimore. Source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Rangers baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and a whole lot more. Just text At Bat to 31826 or visit TexasRangers.com for details. Martin Perez back to the hill. He will face Adam Jones to start things off here in the third. Jones' first ball swinging. Pops one down the right field line. That will twist back into the crowd. And out of play for strike one.
Another changeup. Martin has really used that effectively. Did a great job of working out of that bases loaded no-out jam. He gave up a couple of runs, but with the support he got behind him, that's a pretty miraculous job to only give up 2 runs in that inning. And his changeup was the main pitch to get him out of that jam. There's another one.
This one's hit on one sharp hop to Adrian Beltre. One gone. Now before Chris Davis steps in, let's head over to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Dana. All right, Dana, thank you. Bartolo Colon.
The amazing thing is, I don't think he's ever been better than he is right now. You would think a guy that big that's gotten this old after this many years and had a couple of years where he was hurt, ineffective, or suspended couldn't be this good right now. Just shows you the kind of arm that he has and the way he knows how to pitch.
2-0 pitch to Davis, chop foul. Obviously his stuff was better when he first came up, or the first 5, 6, 7 years of his career. Just as far as pure stuff goes.
Yeah, probably threw a little harder.
But there's no way he was pitching any better than any time than he is now.
No way.
To left field, David Murphy again battling the sun, reaches up and hauls this one in. That was what he needed the first time. A ball hit over his head that he could go back for and get it out of the sun.
Yeah, it had a little bit different angle to look at that ball, and it probably helped him. I think if that ball was hit right at him like the other one, he would have been in the same boat that he was the first time.
Yeah.
He's using his hand. Now you can see he's kind of looking sideways right now to see that ball. He had to catch it the way the ball was. Instead of looking right straight back toward us into the sun, he was able to locate the ball.
I thought he was putting his hand out to tell the ball to stay right there. I can see you right there. Don't move.
Keep it from hitting him in the head.
Now 2 gone very quickly here in the third, and Matt Waiters, who had an RBI single to center last inning, takes low and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Waiters now 46 RBI. Batting average of .241 for the switch hitting catcher. Breaking ball hangs outside. It's 2-1. Leaders the last 3 games of .417 average. Now 3-1 the count. Now if Wieters is able to extend the inning here in the third, J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, will follow. Orioles leading 2-0. They about hit the Rangers 5-0 here in the first 2 innings plus. Fastball, strike, and the count is full to Wieters. Wieters settles back in, and Martin Perez to the wind, the payoff pitch. On the ground behind third, it's a fair ball. It hops over Adrian Beltre's glove and down the line. Wieters cruising into second base. As that ball just took a kangaroo hop at the last second over Adrian Beltre's outstretched glove. That'll be a double, the second hit of the night for Matt Wieters.
There's the last hop that it takes. That ball bounced back towards center field.
I thought it went over his glove. Looking at that to see what happened, it kind of had reverse spin on it.
Yeah, it did. put his glove where it looked like that ball was going to bounce, and it bounced the other way.
So the 6th hit of the night, and well, the Orioles continue to find odd ways to make things happen against the Rangers in this series. J.J. Hardy had an infield single his first time to the plate. To right center field, Greg Gentry on his horse back in the gap. He can't get it. One hopping off the wall. Wieters will score. Into second, J.J. Hardy with the RBI double. It is 3-0 Baltimore.
That ball took off. Shows the power that J.J. Hardy has. Mentioned earlier that he's the only shortstop in baseball that hit 20 home runs the last 2 years. He's going to do it again. And he just drove that ball off the bat. It looked like a play that Gentry might just run over and make the catch on. And as it turns out, that ball just shot over Craig's head. Didn't have a chance to catch it.
Well, the Orioles putting up 3 here in the first 2 2/3. Now Danny Valencia, who hit what could have been or should have been the double play ground ball last inning that was booted by Elvis. He takes a strike. It is 0-1. One and one the count. Valencia, of course, a long-time Minnesota Twins property. Up and down, had a couple of good years with Minnesota and fell on pretty tough times offensively and health-wise. Orioles kind of picked him up and gave him another opportunity, a change of scenery. Trying to reestablish himself at the big league level. Perez okays the sign. The left-hander's ready. And ball 3 is low. And this is where Martin Perez, the kind of situation that Martin ran into against Detroit in that outing where he started nibbling and falling behind and then really got out of control with it. Ball started flying off the bats. Out of play down the right side. The count has gone full. And it's real easy, I think, for us to sit up here and say, well, he's got great stuff. You know, why does he fall behind? Well, it's a little bit different looking at it from here down to the mound or looking at it from the seats out to the mound than it is when you're standing on the mound and you're possessing that stuff. It doesn't quite translate the same way. We've said a lot of times the hardest thing to do is when you get to the big leagues, really believe in your heart that you belong there, that you're going to be successful there. It's the last phase of the transition that young players have to make, getting at the big league level and staying there. Perez sets at the belt. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Well, Valencia gone on strikes, but the Orioles strike for another run on back-to-back 2-out doubles. They strand a runner. 2.5 have gone by. The Orioles 3-0 over the Rangers. Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealers. And by Jack in the Box. Now's your chance to go big with Jack's Big Stack Burger. The storm cloud's not too far off. It's been a storm here in this three-game series so far for the Rangers. They trailed today 3-0, having lost the first two games of this series, 3-1 and 7-4. The Rangers in comeback mode now, trying to at least salvage the final game against the Orioles. And Elvis Andrus starting things off in the Ranger third, takes ball one.
Well, with all the frustration that the Rangers have had offensively in this series, just had the feeling sooner or later they're going to have a 6-run inning. Just everything's going to fall in place. Balls are going to find holes. They're going to drive one in the gap, get some hits with men in scoring position, and everything will be all right. But so far it's 6 up, 6 down, and Chris Tillman has been in complete command. Only thrown 28 pitches.
Good slow breaking ball, and that dives just a little bit low. It's 2 balls and a strike to Elvis. Andrus at 244. No home runs, 31 driven in. He's been kind of spinning his wheels in the low 240s for the last few weeks. Takes outside, that cut fastball darting off the plate. And it's 3-1. So Elvis trying to start things off by getting aboard to start the third. David Murphy to follow. Tillman to the plate. That'll run the count full. Elvis taking that pitch.
Having a hard time getting base runners, 3-1 leading off an inning. That's a good pitch to take. You're going to get a fastball again. And this one's outside.
Well, there's the first base runner of the afternoon for the Rangers. One on for David Murphy. Now we'll take a look at the Ford leaderboard this evening. The leaders would be highest career batting average against Orioles for active players. And a lot of Rangers on that. Miguel Cabrera, no surprise there, leading the way at 390. But then David Murphy at 359 and Nelly Cruz at 353. Handle the third and fourth spots in that top 5. So here's Murph. Pulled on the ground to second. Roberts to second. They get one. The return in a hurry. Not in time.
Nice play by Chris Davis. That was a tough hop. He just backhanded it. Didn't matter one way or the other. David was going to be safe, but it was a nice scoop.
Murph shooting for that hole and didn't quite get it over there.
Watched the throw back to first, and Chris stretched and still made that play.
Well, Murphy now at first base with one away, and Leonis Martin will step in. Leonis 277 with the average, and Murph driven back by a pretty quick throw from Chris Tillman. Five home runs, 16 driven in for the young Ranger outfielder. And a strike at the knees makes it 0-1. Leonis, go back over his last 8 ball games, hit just 143. But you go back further than that, and he's been a .313 hitter over the last 28 games that he has seen action in. A rip and a miss. I know, Tom, you and Mac were talking about Leonis Martin last night, about being in one of those spots where he's just not quite as quick with the bat as we've seen him in the previous 2 or 3 months.
No, when he was in a good streak, Buzz, he was hitting that fastball. In the last couple of games, last 3 games really, he's had some fastballs to hit that he swung and missed at. They've been throwing the fastball by him, and it does look like his timing is a little bit off. He was right on it for about 125 at bats.
You have spots during the season where, as a hitter, you go through streaks like that, where your bat slows down or speeds up.
You've got streaks where the bat feels like it weighs 20 ounces and streaks where it feels like it weighs 40 ounces. Just have to battle through it.
1-2 pitch coming. Off the fist to third. Machado. Roberts back to Davis. Not in time as Leonis Martin able to leg out the return throw from second base.
You know, a guy like Martin, when he's struggling, he's a good bunter and he's very fast. He can utilize the bunt to get on base, but against the Orioles, when it's less than 2 strikes, Machado is playing way in at third base to take the bunt away from him. And so there's really not an opportunity to get the bunt down when you're struggling to swing the bat, because they've taken that away from him in this series.
Well, it's now Martin at first base. Ian Kinsler rounded out to second to begin things tonight. 0 for 1 this evening and takes on the outside corner for strike 1. Ian hitting in an even 280. These are another one of the Rangers that's been extremely good against the Orioles. Sit safely in 23 of the last 26 games. There's a snap throw to first and Martin back. Probably a spot where he, since it's only the 3rd inning, encourage Leonis Martin, if he gets a jump, go ahead and try to swipe second. With 2 outs, if he gets caught, you've still got Ian leading off an inning, but you need to generate something from a positive note offensively. It's out of play. Oh, 2, the count to Kinsler. There's Martin having a very good year with the steals. Tillman goes to first base side and back with the dive, Leonis Martin. Martin tied for 8th in the American League with his 19 stolen bases, been caught 4 times so far. Tillman again ready. And again goes to first base. %, figure we were just talking about for Leonis Martin and his success rate. Now Tillman sets just above belt high. Gives him a drive to right. That's a base hit, and it's headed toward the corner. Over to cut it off Markakis, he does, and being stopped at third base now as Gary Pettis threw up the stop sign, and a good call by Pettis. He holds Martin at third, into second with a double. Is Ian Kinsler.
That's a nice play by Markakis. That saved the run. If Markakis is unable to cut that ball off, it goes to the wall. Martin scores easily with his speed. But Markakis is a solid right fielder. He does everything solidly. Not a burner out there. Doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but he's got a strong, accurate arm. He runs solidly, and he knows how to play right field. You see him catch that ball, and that saves a run. Wasn't able to get much on the throw, but it was an accurate throw to the cutoff man.
So second and third now with 2 outs. Craig Gentry, the number 2 man in the order, will step in. Ian Kinsler at second with the first Ranger hit of the night.
Second ball, he's hit down the right field line. The other night, he hit a ground ball right inside the bag down the right field line. Off the bat, if that was hit hard enough to get past Markakis, in which case it would have been a run.
Yeah. A run and quite possibly a triple, too, for Kinsler.
Yeah.
0-1 to count to Gentry.
If he didn't cut it off, he'd have kept going toward the wall and probably couldn't have gotten back to the ball before he did get to third.
1-1 now. Greg, fly ball to right, his first time to the plate.
It's been all Baltimore so far, but it's only 3-0. And here's a spot where with one hit, you turn it into a 3-2 game. The whole momentum of the game changes. But you have to get that one hit. That's one thing the Rangers haven't been able to do recently, is get the hit right here to help turn the game around in your favor.
Good rip by Gentry. He fouls it back to the screen.
And if Tillman is able to get Gentry here, he goes back after 3 innings. It's still 3-0. They feel like they're in complete command of the game. The Rangers still haven't scored. Only had 1 hit in the game, but with a base hit right here, it's 3-2, even though the Orioles have 7 hits.
Yeah, the only problem is Ron Washington doesn't have a sign for that hit that he can give to Yuri Pettis.
He's been flashing it.
Yeah.
They're just missing it.
Now the 1-2 from Tillman. Big slow breaking ball that just missed. And it's 2-2. Good thing I missed because Gentry was in no spot to do anything with it. He was completely off balance with that hook.
Tillman thought it was a strike. It was pretty close.
Gentry's hands dropped down to about knee level.
He's just hoping it curved out of the strike zone, because you're right. Probably wasn't going to be able to pull the trigger on it.
Now the 2-2 coming. Do it again and got Gentry this time. To the side retire. The Rangers get a walk and a hit, but they strand 2. We're going to the 4th. It remains the Orioles 3, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.